How we doing, everybody? Wake up and smell the roses. Folks, it is time that we have ourselves the official 2025 New York Metropolitan MLB trade deadline special with your guy Wardy. And do we have ourselves a jam-packed segment to get into today, folks? All day long, we are going to have trade deadline coverage for each and every one of you. Not only are we going to be live now for at least probably the next 2 hours, I will then be live on the Bleacher Report YouTube channel and in their app to the thousands of you guys that can check it out live as it happens from right around 3 to 5 p.m. as I'm going to be going over all the latest of the MLB trade deadline front, not just the Mets, but Major League Baseball as a whole with a special guest there and Kate Maniscalco. So we're going to have an absolute blast together, everybody. And then we're going to be back live here on the platform right around 5 p.m. Eastern for the final hour leading up to the deadline. And then after that, we're probably going to be live again to recap what was a whirlwind of a day for the Amazons as they look to add more after bolstering the bullpen big time this past night. Not only acquiring Tyler Rogers, the submariner that we all love, but as well as the flame-throwing setup man now to Edwin Diaz, who's usually a closer, and Ryan Helsley. Since then, we have seen some absolute blockbuster trades across Major League Baseball. Some I knew way ahead of time, including any of you guys that watched our Ryan Helsley live show late last night. I told you guys well in advance that I'm starting to hear that Mason Miller could find himself going to the Padres. And what do we have to find out, everybody? Mason Miller and JP Sears have been traded in one of the biggest blockbusters you'll ever see. They're to San Diego for one of MLB's top prospects there, and Leo going the other way from the Padres organization to the A's. Eugenio Suarez is back in the Seattle Mariner uniform. We see a lot of traction going on throughout Major League Baseball, and we're going to cover it all as it happens here, along with hopefully the Metsies doing something over the next couple hours. So folks, get ready, lock in, strap in your seat. Let's have ourselves some trade deadline coverage. How we doing, everybody? Hit that like and subscribe button in the chat if you guys haven't already. Greatly appreciate that. To all of our replay viewers, you guys already know obviously what likely happened from the turnout here, but please hit that like and subscribe button as it's a great way to support the channel. I greatly appreciate that. Yes, I saw that Kyle Finnegan just got traded to the Tigers. That's a nice little bullpen piece for them. Brandon Lowe is a better trade pickup if possible. I like Brandon Lowe a lot, but whether Brandon Lowe is actually dealt by the Rays has yet to be seen. So we're still waiting on that front, everybody. But I just want to do a temperature check first and foremost. Everyone chiming in live on replay. Let's get the vibes going. How are we feeling here on right around 12:52 p.m. Eastern? Casually 15 minutes late because I was getting everything set up for this one. I want to make sure I had some scenarios set up should they happen, as well as making sure they have everything set up because I'm going straight from this to Bleacher Report for a couple hours, then back to this for a couple hours. We are literally rolling all day long here, baby. We're not missing a beat. But I want to know, what are the vibes like in Metsland right now, first and foremost? We're going to talk endlessly about Luis Robert, Cedric Mullins, Stephen Kwan, Sandy Alcantara, Dylan Cease, Edward Cabrera, Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen. We're going to get into all that. We're going to get into the potential for the Mets on the starter front, if they're going to land a starter or not, as well as if they do consider anything else for the bullpen, what bat makes most sense for them in the outfield. So much to break down in this one, everybody. So again, have your questions ready, have your comments ready, because this is going to be a whole lot of back and forth throughout this live show, as well as keeping you guys live up to date with everything that's happening on X. So guys, if there is any breaking news that happens at any point throughout this live show of significance, you guys follow me on X at WardyNYM or at the WardyNYM, whichever one is more easy for you guys. That's perfectly fine. Let's see this. As you guys can see, please make sure to tag me and whatever is happening on either the Mets front or Major League Baseball should news happen. I do not want to miss a beat for you guys. We're going to try to be on top of it as much as we possibly can, but hit those buttons on your way in, everybody. Let me do a quick shout out now to everyone chiming in live on a replay. Thank you guys again all so much for being in here. I do greatly appreciate that. We got Corey in the chat. We got Andy. How we doing? We got Frank, Elgood, Juan, great member. Brandon, how we doing? User, great member. Broken Chester, great member. Broken, can't wait to see you there at the Mets game tomorrow, everybody. In case you guys don't know, your guy Wardy will be attending tomorrow for our first ever official Wardy Day. For those that have already purchased tickets, everybody, be on the lookout as I will be sending everyone their tickets later on this evening. I promise you guys will get it in ample time before tomorrow's game. Rest assured, so nothing to worry about there. I just didn't get a chance to send them all out yet because I had a lot of hectic things getting set here for today's trade deadline coverage, but I will be doing it once I'm done with all my deadline coverage today. So if you guys have purchased tickets to Wardy Day, and which we now have right around 5 available, everybody, so if you still want to get in on the action, head over, click that link in the top of the description. I'll also put it in the chat for you guys if anyone has interest. But Broken Jester will be there. Some of you amazing supporters will be there as well. You're going to be hanging out with your guy Wardy at Citi Field tomorrow in the exclusive left field lounge. We're going to be doing a pregame photo op that you guys have to meet me for right around 5:45, 6 p.m. latest in that area that I told you guys via email. I sent that out to everyone that's purchased tickets for the most part. And yes, everybody, please make sure you check out, because we're not only going to be potentially going live from the ballpark tomorrow, but we're going to be seeing the Mets debuts of potentially Tyler Rogers against his former team in the San Francisco Giants. Jose Butto may toe the rubber against the Mets tomorrow, right? Luis Robert will hopefully be in a Mets uniform making his Mets debut. We might see some Ryan Helsley action. So it's perfect time, everybody, especially if you guys are excited to see what the Mets may be doing acquisition-wise and them actually making their debuts. We got Mothman. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. Wardy, if news breaks, will you know before it does? Depends on what it is, if I'm being completely transparent. I knew about the Mason Miller stuff. I know there's a couple things I know right now. Nothing that's bad, really. However, outside the fact that I did know that the Padres were really pushing hard for Steven Kwan before it's kind of been more widely reported now. I will be surprised if the Padres don't land an outfielder today. I think Padres, Phillies, Mets are the trifecta, the trio of teams you have to look at looking to acquire an outfield bat out of the National League right now. The Dodgers are always sneaky. The Dodgers have been quiet. You're imagining they're going to pounce at some point and do something. We just do not know what yet, everybody. But guys, thank you for the donation, Mothman. I appreciate that. Let's get the hype going. We got Hyper Mario, who will be there tomorrow. Can't wait to see you there, Mario. Thank you so much for chiming in. Great member as always. We got Ava, how are you? We got Nathan, how we doing, baby? We're going up the list here. We got Corey, Frank, we got Freddie in the chat. We got Shane, how we doing? We got my guy Drop 5. I'll be there tomorrow, 7 line game. Hope to see you there, baby. That's gonna be electric. I can't wait for it. If it's a 7-line game tomorrow, I'll try to look out for my guy Darren Meenan too. Love Darren. Thoughts on Mason Miller trade? Insane. Absolutely insane. But AJ Preller parts ways with top prospects every single year. This is nothing new to him. This is the same AJ Preller that traded away James Wood, CJ Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, and so many others over the years there just for the sake of helping the team win now. And the Padres are in a very win now stage. And the beauty about the Padres that some people don't seem to realize is that they will continue to churn out and get some of the best international talents every single year. Their scouting and player development is through the roof. That is why AJ Preller continues to deplete his farm while in a win now stage, because the Padres keep winning year after year, and they continue to do fantastic player development with their international signings especially. So the Padres, as much as it sucks the haul that they gave up, they just landed the most controllable and the most dominant reliever in baseball, Mason Miller, who they could stretch as a starter should they wish. JP Sears gives them flexibility to actually part ways with Dylan Cease. Yes, a trade in which Dylan Cease is parted with, I would say, is absolutely greater now with the Padres making their moves. I assure you that they did not make those moves thinking, oh, we're going to keep Dylan Cease for certain. They're still shopping him, and it shouldn't be shocking if you see Cease and or Robert Suarez traded, because the Padres know that these guys are on expiring contracts and they obviously could bode well elsewhere. So especially in the case of Cease. So I'm really curious to see what is next for the Padres. They have a lot cooking right now, but David Stearns is very wary of that. He has to be aware of that, because if Stearns sits on his hands while he sees the Padres, who already had arguably the best bullpen in baseball, now certainly having the best bullpen in baseball. This is not a slight on all my Mets and what they've done in their bullpen, but if you look paper to paper, this Padres bullpen is still the best bullpen to beat. There's no doubt in my mind. As electric as the Mets is, Padres are still at the top of the list. And then you add in that they're not done making moves on the offensive end. Yeah, things are going to get spicy real soon, everybody. We're going up here. Max, how we doing? Colin, Gina, Salty, Mike, all you guys, hit that like and subscribe button on your way and help us get a 500 likes here. Basically, all I need is half you guys hit that like and subscribe on. Thank you guys kindly for that. Xavier, how we doing? We got my guy, Mike Rim, Stark Raven Sports. If it's not Matt, it's always Wardy Day. You're too kind. Big fellow wearing orange. Mullins, no, we're actually rocking a nice little Mets alternate jersey that was gifted to me by, yes, you guessed it, my dog, Dave Kaplitz. And I know Dave is in here in the chat watching somewhere. Love you, Dave. One of the many things he sent my way. But it's comfy, rocking it right now. We're feeling electric. Matthew, how we doing? Matthew Sign in the chat. We got Lavish. We got Chris Goodwin. We got Paul, how we doing? Going up in here. We're going up even more. We got Waldo, how we doing? We got Corey, how are you? We got Frankie, L. Good, Brandon, Ariel, thank you so much. Andres, great member for being in here. Matthew, Mike, SMD, great member, how are you? All you guys coming in live on a replay. I do apologize. Naturally, I'm going to miss plenty of your guys' comments. It's going to happen when we have at least around 1,000 concurrent people, if not more, for probably the entire show. We got Big Steppa calling me daddy in the chat, so you know buddy's smoking that good right now. Nathan chat says, I don't think people realize how bad Mullins has been this year. He has been bad. He's fallen off a cliff, really, over the past, I would say, month and a half. But over the past series, especially, he started to pick things up. So listen, Cedric Mullins is another change of scenery guy. He's destined to obviously do better on a greater contending team, while he is maybe not as much of a force in that line. Not that the Orioles have a bad offense, but we know that in the Mets, adding Mullins and similarity, Robert, you'd find him maybe more in that 6-7 spot where he could really thrive and potentially do damage. We got my guy with a $5 hollow. Wardy, if you haven't eaten yet, you need to. I'll respect the grind though, bro. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We might do a live, like, on-air Wardy get some bite to eat action going. I just pounded some eggs before we did this one while I made some for little Shay as well. If you guys don't know, I have a son named Shay, and he's a beauty, and I'm not going to be with them all day today, which bums me out, as well as tomorrow, because I'm going to be busy with Wardy Day. But we got to do what we got to do to not only make ends meet, but also make sure that we're keeping things afloat here. And thankfully, I have an amazing support system, an amazing partner, an amazing family that's doing a great job taking care of the little one right now. So Wardy can go to work and do what he's got to do. Because as much as I love this, and this has been started as a hobby, it's absolutely work. You know, like, this is my full-time job. That's why I have north of 6 hours of trade deadline coverage inevitably coming in the near future. Between this, Bleacher Report, then back on here, today's going to be an effing doozy, everybody. And the only thing that I'm upset about is knowing that all the hype and all the fun that comes with the deadline completely falls flat as soon as tomorrow. While Wardy Day will happen, the downside, however, is that, you know, we're not going to have the hype and the expectation. So now it's really going to be into, okay, we made our moves, time to lock the hell in, and we're going to live and die with the Mets from August 1st onward for the entirety of the season, in hopes that the boys can get on a roll the way that we're hoping right now. Who do you want, Kwan, Cruz, Robert, or Mullins? I want Robert most because I don't think Robert's going to cost as much as Kwan. I like Kwan a lot. You could argue he's the best player, obviously, that group, no denying that, but I think Robert's potential as a change of scenery candidate is so pronounced that I desperately want that to be the Mets. Like, the more I talk about it, the more I'm praying it happens, because if it doesn't happen, oh, Harrison Bader, the Phillies, bang, let's go. That's huge. That's huge. Harrison Bader, the Phillies, is that true? Can someone tell me, is that legit? Let's find out. Hold on. Bader to Philly, Bader to Philly, Bader to Philly. Tell me it's true. 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 Come on, tell me it's true. Tell me it's true. Tell me it's true. Someone tag me on X. Someone tag me on X. Is Harrison Bader a Philadelphia Philly? Please tell me he's a Philadelphia Philly. Yes, let's go. Let's go. This is huge. Harrison Bader of the Phillies. Phillies got their little stopgap in the center field. They got a great defender. Oh, hell yeah. Let's go. Bader. I got to type this out. Bader is Philly bound. Mets odds of landing. Oh, that's good news. Breaking news, everybody. We're not even more than 10 minutes in the show. Harrison Bader, who, mind you, he's having a very good season right now. And the reason why I'm happy about Harrison Bader going to Philly is because he's not going to the Mets. And by Harrison Bader going to Philly, that means that the Philadelphia Phillies are officially out on Luis Robert, Cedric Mullins, and likely Mr. Steven Kwan. That's why we're excited about it. That's the main reason. It's because it's the domino effect of what the Phillies aren't doing now by bringing Harrison Bader. That is huge, everybody. I did not want a Bader reunion. It's not at all personal against Bader, as it's more so the fact of we know what Harrison Bader is at his best, right? And while he's having a good year for the Minnesota Twins, I also know that Bader's one of these guys that's so Jekyll and Hyde. He completely fell off the face of the earth in the final month and a half last year, which is why we saw Tyrone Taylor best him for that role. You guys all saw it. We all saw it together, right? Tyrone Taylor was the guy. And let's go ahead now. I actually apologize, everybody. Let me go ahead and pull this up right now on X. I don't need to play Luis Robert highlights all day long, especially when there isn't even a guarantee that the Mets are going to land him. I want the Mets to land him. I think they're going to land him. However, it's not a lock until it happens, right? But as you guys can see, shout out Alex Ortiz. He's always commenting on my X. I appreciate that. As you guys can see here, bam. Bader is Philly bound. Mets landing one of Roberts, Mullins, or Kwan is certainly very high. And it feels like it's now increased because of that reason. So let's get into Mr. Harrison Bader, everybody. What are the Phillies getting in Bader this season? Because, again, Bader's been good, but this is great. Oh, my God, yeah. This is awesome. Very little will you see me get excited about the Phillies upgrading their outfield, but I think it's the matter of the fact that, one, we know Bader at his best can be speed demon on the bags. Obviously, he can go gap to gap. Very Jekyll and Hyde in the home run power, but he does obviously have a flair for the dramatic in the playoffs like he did for the Yankees a couple years ago. Outside that, however, though, we know who he is. You know what I mean? There's nothing about Harrison Bader that has us shaking in our boots outside of the fact that he torched us when he was with the Twins, and he might torch us later on this year just because he maybe has a chip on his shoulder, but it's also Bader's own fault last year, mind you, that he, instead of stepping up his game, completely fell short, got a little upset about the fact that Tyrone Taylor was getting more playing time, and then bam, we come to find out that Harrison Bader, obviously was one of the few Mets that wasn't upset really about the fact of parting ways with the team, because the Mets were clearly giving him limited opportunities. So Bader's going to go in an area where in center field now you have Brandon Marsh as well as Johan Rojas, and now Harrison Bader. Bader is clearly the best out of those three there for Philadelphia. So they got their center field option. So what does it now mean? It means that the Mets need to lock in and get one of their own outfielders. That's what it means, everybody. But that's huge news. Okay. Bader's offensive numbers, too. I have no right to, I'm not even going to bother to talk. The last thing I'm going to do is nitpick Harrison Bader's baseball savant numbers, because I promise you that if you just go ahead and look at the baseball savant of Mr. Luis Robert, you're going to say, buddy, why are you yapping? You know what I mean? Don't be a hypocrite. And you're 100% right. I was about to do it, but I'm not going to do it now. I'm just going to leave it as is. Bader, I wish him nothing but the absolute worst in Philly. I don't mean worse in the sense that I don't wish any harm to him or his family or anything like that, but I truly hope that him and the Phillies go on a 20-plus game losing streak starting tomorrow. That's how I feel about Harrison Bader going to the Philadelphia Phillies. So Bader, Duran, those are the... And oddly enough, Duran and Bader get traded to Philly in separate trades with the Twins. I'm curious as to why maybe that wasn't... Oh, here's why. Here's why they weren't packaged together. It's because the Phillies were trying to land one of Robert, Mullins, or Kwan. Didn't happen. Didn't like the prices, and they settled with Harrison Bader. We await to find out what the return is going to be, obviously. So once we find out that out, we'll talk about that here shortly. Would have rather Bader than Mullins, if not Robert. Here's the thing. I think you could argue maybe you want Bader more than Mullins, but I don't want Bader more than Robert. Robert's ceiling is greater than any other outfield option. And I would even make the argument that Robert's ceiling is greater than Steven Kwan's in the sense of if he gets that power swing going, he's a game changer. We know he's a game changer. But when looking at a true multi-tool talent right now that's playing great baseball, Steven Kwan is the guy. He's a very tough out, as Buzz Talk is saying in the chat. It's 100% true. And unfortunately for us Mets fans, you're not going to like to hear this, but I am under the belief that Steven Kwan is going to be a San Diego Padre by the time we reach 6 p.m. Eastern today. I'll be a little surprised if it doesn't happen, mainly because A.J. Preller's a madman. He has everything to lose, and the Padres have confidence that they can continue to churn out quality assets in their prospect farm every single year, even after continuing to part with the pieces that they do. Dave, Bader traded Phils. Yes, my guy. Thank you again for that donation. I really appreciate that. Happy to have you in here. But yeah, guys, this is the breaking news on Harrison Bader. Let's get into this one now, and let's check out Harrison's fan. Like I said, I know that Harrison has been good this year. He killed the Mets when we played him earlier this year in Minneapolis. The Phillies are sending outfielder Hendry Mendez and righty Jeremy Villoria to Twins for Harrison Bader. I don't know who either of those guys are, if I'm being completely honest. Apparently, fans aren't loving Mendez being parted with, but I think most Phillies fans are content with this. I'm just checking. I'm just reading up, guys, right now. Just seeing the total return here. Yeah, I think that's a good trade for the Phillies. Again, Harrison Bader's not on a long-term contract. He's on a rental deal. They gave up two not top prospects at all. Probably fringe, middle of the pack to back-end guys, I'd imagine. And that's what it'll take for a Harrison Bader right now. As Steven Kwan traded today is viewed as increasingly likely per John Morosi. Granted, that's common sense, John. Again, your sources don't need to relay that. My source has been telling me this for the past 24 hours that Kwan's likely getting dealt. But here we are. It's fine. Padres or Dodgers, hope it's Pads, but we have Luis wide open. Yeah, again, that'd be crazy. If Steven Kwan goes to the Dodgers, that's the most actually get out of here or go after yourself thing imaginable. That would be a very Dodgers thing. It actually would be so Dodgers for them to swoop in and take Kwan away from the Padres, but I don't want that to happen because I don't want the Padres to put more emphasis than what they already have on Luis Robert. The Padres really like Jarren Duran, but I don't think that Jarren Duran is getting traded unless it's a trade that's like a beneficial for both sides. Jarren Duran gets traded to, say, the Padres trade Dylan Cease to the Red Sox, and potentially some other moving parts there. If that happens, I think that makes more sense if Jarren Duran does actually get traded. I know the Padres love Duran. He feels like a Padres fit for sure. Steven Kwan makes a lot of sense too. But Dylan Cease, guys, I'm telling you, and I'm going to reiterate this on my live show on the Bleacher Report app and on their YouTube channel once we start going live there around 3 p.m. Eastern today. I'm telling you right now, the Padres are destined to make more splashes. And not only are they destined to make more splashes, but we know AJ Preller's a madman. You know you can never count him out. This is their MO. They do this shit every single year. Bader traded Phils. There we go. Yep. Know all about it. Thank you, guys. How do I enter the jersey giveaway? I need me a Mauricio jersey. All you got to do is be subscribed. We've already hit 34,000 subscribers, so we're doing a jersey giveaway approximately next Wednesday, barring changes. August 3rd, I believe. That is the goal as of now. We're planning to do it next Wednesday, everybody. Pardon me, I'm an idiot. That's not August 3rd. What date is next Wednesday? Let me double check this real quick. Let's get Robert. It's looking more likely by the second. I'm telling you right now. It really does. Let's see here. Wednesday is the 6th. Okay, guys, next Wednesday, here's what I'm thinking. We're either going to be doing a live show. You know what? No. Let's not do it Wednesday. Let's do it Thursday, August 7th, barring changes, because my schedule may be erratic. I'm just telling you guys, sometime later next week, we will be doing the jersey giveaway. I usually like to do it around a week or so after, once we've hit our latest subscriber milestone. And how the channel works, for those who are unaware, we do a new jersey giveaway of a free Mets jersey to one lucky subscriber that I randomly selected in live shows that I do in the chat. So you have to be chiming in the live chat as it happens. But I do it approximately a week after we've hit that 1,000 subscriber goal. So now that we're at 34,000 subscribers, bam, jersey giveaway sometime next week, Wednesday or Thursday, probably Thursday because it's the Mets off day, barring changes, so be on the lookout for that. And guys, once we hit 35,000 subscribers for our next short-term goal, we'll be doing yet another jersey giveaway. We've already given away 3 jerseys this year. I think we've given away 4, as a matter of fact. We've given away 2 Juan Soto jerseys. We've given away 1 WardyNYM jersey, and there's one other that I'm blanking on right now. I don't remember what player it is, but I know we've given away 4. So again, that's straight out of my pocket, mind you. So that's just for you guys for being great supporters on the platform, and me just further saying thank you. And also be on the lookout, guys. I know we haven't done them in a hot minute because my schedule has been absolutely bananas, but we will be doing our playback in-game watch parties again on the channel very soon. Probably not this weekend because things are hectic, but next week, without a doubt, we're bringing them back. I promise we'll be doing them at least once next week so we can interact throughout the entire live Mets game together in the playback app as well as here on YouTube. Many of your other maybe favorite Mets content creators or MLB content creators do the exact same thing. We're all in a nice, tight-knit community together. Playback's been more than fantastic with us, fellow MLB creators, so we're going to be working a lot with them throughout the remainder of the year as well. Mark with the $5 holla. I'm reading the report on X and we're close to a deal with the Orioles. That's nonsense. The man who broke that is the same man who has not broken any piece of news over the past calendar year plus. I'm not even going to bother to mention his name. It's not a personal slight on him, but Buddy acts like he has sources, but he doesn't, okay? Even if the Mets make a trade for Cedric Mullins, okay, then he finally got something right. He's been off on everything. He missed on basically everything this past offseason, and I used to follow him specifically to see if he was at all picking things up, if he was right in the end. No, it was all hearsay, it was all speculation, and it was not heading. So, no, I would not say that the Mets are at all close to landing Mullins right now, but they are absolutely in deep talks for an outfielder. And here's the thing, when you start the day, when the day starts at 8 a.m., you're getting tweets here from the main guys on X saying that Robert, talks are ongoing, the Mets are involved, the Padres are involved, the Phillies are involved. Why do they start so early? It's because the talks are heating the hell up. That's why. When these things happen, everybody, it's unloading the floodgates. We are going to see so much happen today from now up until 6 p.m., not only regarding the Mets, but everyone else. It's going to be insane. It really is. Love this time of year watching you bounce off the wall. I mean, I have to, Buzz. I'm freaking buzzing out here, Buzz. How can I not? It's trade deadline day. Lock the hell in, everybody. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way in, everybody, if you haven't already. Thank you guys for the donations. Again, I never asked for donations. I'd like to make that clear. However, if you want a specific question answered, the odds of that becoming a reality are far greater if you guys donate, even if it's like 99 cents or whatever. Again, you don't need to. I'm never asking. I just say this because when we have big shows like this, some people I know get upset when I don't get a chance to answer their comment. It's not the fact of me not wanting to answer it, as I probably just didn't see it because we got 1,300 to 1,500 live people happening at the same time. You know, I can only spread myself so much. So that's That's why we start with the donated comments, because obviously they have to be prioritized first. Then when I can get on to the next questions, I will most certainly do that from what I see. We see here, Dylan, how would you feel if the Mets got Brent Rooker and Luis Severino in package deal? Great question. I would love it. Brent Rooker would be a dog, but here's the thing. If you acquire Brent Rooker, you most certainly have to trademark Vientos. Like, you're not going to bring in Rooker to then not have him play a good amount of time at DH. It just doesn't make sense, right? So Vientos I would see parted with, either in that deal or something of similarity. Severino, I'm cool with, as long as the A's eat at least a portion of that contract. I don't want that entire thing back. As much as I like Sevy, again, comes at a price. And if you get Rooker along with them, it's definitely something that I would be hyped up about. This would take that lineup to another level. When, mind you, the Mets have a top 6 offense in Major League Baseball currently per Fangraphs. So it's not like they even have a horrendous offense. You'd think that's different, because their 1 through 4 is top 4, top 5 in Major League Baseball, but their 5 through 9 is a bottom feeder. We're like ranked 24th in baseball in that category. So the Mets need to find some balance in their lineup. Best way to do it is to go out and land some big bats. Robert is my expectation today, but I'm not complaining at all if a Brent Rooker, for example, became a reality. Thank you for that donation. Appreciate all you guys for the donations. Thank you kindly for that. Let's go up in here. Sevy is good away from the A's. He's very good away from the A's, as a matter of fact. That's why he's had such a frustrating year for himself. It's because more so on the matter of at home, he's horrendous. Pardon my French, he's dog shit. And the reason why he has a lot to do with the fact that he hates the facilities, because he's playing in a Little League ballpark in Sacramento. I did an entire video on it on my MLB YouTube channel, WardyMLB, that you guys can check out. We have over 2,000 subscribers. Been a little slacky on the content there because my schedule's been bananas, but we will be pumping out content there again very soon, so be on the lookout for it. I broke down a video basically on just how much the A's invested into a player, the largest contract in their team history, yet you mean to tell me that even after doing that, he still wants to be part with, and they want to part with him. Feinstein saying Robert unlikely to be traded now? I ain't buying that. Until it happens, I ain't buying that. You want to know why I'm not buying that? Here's why. Here's why I'm not buying that. Let's go ahead and pull up Mark Feinstein. Where did you guys see that Feinstein saying Robert's unlikely to be traded now? Because I don't see his tweet saying that. Are you guys referring to him? Is he on MLB Network right now? Is that what you guys are telling me? Because you guys are all relaying it, so I know you're not BSing me, unless you all are. If so, then I commend the effort. It's a lot of you guys. Feinstein, thank you for the donation, Pork. I appreciate that. Alcantara and Cabrera, Blockbuster, baby. Wouldn't be both, but it's definitely a possibility that's one of them. On MLB Network. The Robert hype is not baseless if you actually understand the context of the pros and the cons that come along with him. Hold on. Let me tweet this out. All right, guys, we're just live reacting to the fact that Mark Feinstein on MLB Network just said that Robert is unlikely to be traded today. They can't match up with anyone. So this is my take. My take is that the White Sox are going way, way, way too high on their asking price right now. And because of that, you're having teams like the Phillies pivot, obviously, to Harrison Bader. And the Mets may very well pivot, if they haven't already, to Cedric Mullins. Like, this is why you need to make sure that you're weighing more options. I would love Robert, but if it doesn't happen, I'm content with it not happening if it means he's not traded at all. I'll just be pissed off if we go from thinking, oh, Robert isn't traded, the Mets then land Mullins, and then we find out that, oh, Robert gets traded to the San Diego Padres or something. Like, that would drive me up a wall. Steven Kwan, though, would be electric. I'm just not going to get my hopes up on it right now. Guys, the Mets are involved with Kwan, but they don't look like the top dog. Obviously, anything can change. A lot can change, obviously. It's deadline day. So much potential can happen here. But I'm just telling you, when it comes to the stats of the Mets landing Kwan, we need more to pick up there before anything else. This is interesting, though. I'm just... Ooh. All right, guys, I'm even reaching out to my people right now in the industry, the ones that relayed me a lot of information. But if Luis Robert doesn't get traded now, that's going to be insane. This feels like this is a leverage play to me. You know, like, as someone who wants Robert, this feels like a leverage play. At the same time, though, the White Sox are stupid. You know, they're really stupid as an organization. Like, there's a lot of things that aren't great with the White Sox. And it would not shock me in the slightest if Chicago was like, you know what? We're going to go ahead and ask for, like, a top pitching prospect from the Mets. And the Mets are like, haha, go F yourself, buddy. You know, as everyone should have that same rightful reaction. I have no clue what players outside of Acuna and Vientos have been discussed for Robert. But if there is any weight carried with what Mark Feinsand said, it obviously has to do with the White Sox having a stupid asking price for a Luis Robert that does not have the trade value that he had 2 years ago. As much as they hope and pray that he does, 1 month of playing good baseball this season does not take away from the fact that he's going on 2 seasons of not only being injury plagued, but also being beyond underwhelming, going from an AL MVP candidate to being a guy that's well below league average consistently as a batter. Like, you can't have that drastic of a drop in a 2-year span and act like you're going to get the Kane ransom for the guy. It just isn't going to happen. Yo, Worry, it's amazing to watch you live at this time. It's 10:50 p.m. in India. Yo, we got people in India in the chat. That is so sick. I always love when people tell me that they're from, like, all over the place. If you guys are from out of the U.S., please relay in the chat. I would love to hear where you guys are from. And if you're from the States, that's fine, too. Let me know where you guys are from. If you guys actually want to go ahead and spam in the live chat right now what is happening, where you guys are from, I don't need your house address or anything like that. I'm just curious relative what state you're in location, because I got people saying they're from India. I got people saying they're from Ireland. I got people saying they're from Taiwan. I got people saying they're from Israel. I got people saying they're from, I'm trying to think of some other big ones that I've seen over the past couple weeks. I've seen people say, you know, I'm chiming in from Jordan. I've seen people say that they're chiming in from Australia for sure. Austria, as a matter of fact, like everywhere. People are saying Denmark in the chat. If that's true, that's insane, Care Bear. If you're actually from Denmark, that's nuts. Canada, I'm not surprised. I know we have some Canadians that chime in for sure. Queens, you live in Philly behind enemy lines. I'm an hour out of Philly, Jay, so I know that feeling all too well. Trust me. Passing bomb. Oh, don't tell me there was a passing bomb. I bet that's fake news, but let me check. Yeah, no, nothing new with passing yet. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. All right. Not a bomb, but still news. Per Jeff Passan, everybody, the Dodgers are finalizing a deal to acquire right-handed reliever Brock Stewart from the Minnesota Twins. I just realized I didn't even get to the point of talking about Harrison Bader's numbers, so I'm going to go ahead and do that in a second. Let's see. David Wright was born near you. That's really cool. Yonkers, New York. Nice. Saratoga. Love that. Rochester. Yeah. Wow. Color me shocked. A lot of you guys are from New York. Who would have thought? Let's see here. Florida. Makes sense, too. Puerto Rico, love that. I know we got our PR Mets fans in here for sure. North Carolina, love to see that. Allentown, AJ, not far from me at all, AJ. AJ, we got to go get ourselves some coffee or something. Love to see that. Happy to have you in here, AJ. Hope all is fantastic on your front. We got Orlando. Oh, not, what am I saying, Orlando? Orlando, duh, thank you. Fort Myers. Long Island. I'm from Long Island initially as well. Green Lawn. Shout out to those who are from there as well. That's initially where your guy Wardy's from. Kansas. Love to see that too. All right, guys, let me get into a couple things I want to share here. I want to go over. Wait. Yeah, the Dodgers are among teams in on Stephen Kwan. Not surprised. Dodgers are the type of team that F around and go ahead and do that. Let's see here, everybody. Let's go ahead and head over to Fangraphs real quick. Let's go over two things. What has happened, everybody, over the past 10 minutes? Well, the Philadelphia Phillies have acquired Harrison Bader as their outfield acquisition, meaning that the Phillies are officially out on guys like Stephen Kwan, Luis Robert, and Cedric Mullins. I will be surprised if they're still in that area. Let's get into Bader, though, and see just how good of a season he's been having for Philly. And then we're going to talk more on the Dodgers just acquiring Brock Stewart and what that means for their bullpen. Bader this season, he has 12 home runs in 50 less games than last year. So that's good. 12 home runs, 31 runs scored, 38 RBIs, 10 stolen bases. His walk rate, though, is up 3%, if not 4% from last year. His K rate is actually up 5% from last year. And he's batting .258 with a .339 on base, but a .439 slug. So Bader's slugging much better than what he was last year. That's the main thing. He's going more gap to gap, which is why he's 17% above league average, and he has a 2 WAR this year. Again, that's a solid player for the Phillies. They definitely upgraded their outfield versus what their previous options were. There's no denying that. Right in your neighborhood, you're from Bethlehem. Oh, that's awesome, Juan. So funny that you said that, Juan. I was debating on going to Music Fest today, actually. Me and my guy Pat were debating on going down to do Music Fest today, but I don't think I'm doing Music Fest today. I'm going to try to do Music Fest one of the days before it's over, because I know it's like for a week span or so. So, hey, bud, if you're at Music Fest, look out for your short schmuck Wardy. Won't be surprised if you see me a little stumbling around with my little Mets hat on, having a brewski walking around. Maybe I'm catching some nice music. But see, we got Jacob. Jacob, we got to do Music Fest, Jacob. I actually just realized that. We should probably try to do that maybe sometime while it's happening over the next week or so. We'll try to coordinate, because I know that we've been wanting to hang out. For those who are unaware, Jacob in my chat, who's my main editor, my dog, what a beauty he is. Hilariously enough, him and I don't live far from each other at all either when we both live in Pennsylvania. We had no clue of it initially either. We got Kana Prussia in the chat. That ain't far from me at all either. That's just outside of Philly. That's like, what, 40 minutes from me? I would say Kana Prussia is not far at all. I go there every once in a while, especially if the lady wants to hit the melting pot, because she really likes the one over there by the Kana Prussia Mall. If you know, you know. Let's see here. Cedric Mullins has a .1 WAR this season. Oh, I know. Yeah, trust me. Cedric Mullins is not, by no means is he my favorite pick, and the Mets are going to go ahead and land an outfielder. But the Mets need an upgrade there, and I do think that Cedric Mullins would still be an upgrade over our current options, because the same way that we've kind of talked down on Robert, the same way that you're going to talk down, obviously, on Mullins, it's a change of scenery to acquisition one. Yeah, York is about 40 minutes from me as well. Yep, right around the same range. Live in South Philly, too. I still walk around with the Mets shirt and hat on, get crazy side eyes. But here's the thing, that's as far as they'll go. They'll just do side eye, because Philly fans like to yap, not a whole lot more. It depends on the mood that they're in, really. Mullins is definitely an upgrade over Taylor, and here's why. Mullins has a better bat than Taylor, without question. He has more power, can go more gap to gap, and Cedric's defense is more than fine to handle center, where you're not having this drastic dip in defensive production if you gave Cedric more reps than Tyrone. But I agree with the notion that if the Mets brought in someone like Cedric, that it wouldn't necessarily be like this big needle mover in potential the way that maybe Robert is at his best. At the same time, though, Mullins is one of these guys that obviously has had a lot of success in his career, and it wouldn't shock me if he found himself rejuvenated. Mind you, when he's in a walk year, so he has added incentive to try to actually perform big time. Is O'Neal Cruz possible? I'd be surprised if it happened. I don't think O'Neal Cruz is going to get traded at this year's deadline, barring changes. Hit up your people, Wardy. I know, Capo, I did. I actually asked, as a matter of fact, what's been relayed my way just out of, just opinion from the people that I know. And he knows exactly who he is. I hope he's checking out this segment right now. He told me that at worst, it looks like the Mets will land themselves Cedric Mullins. But, nothing's official or anything like that. They're not out on Robert from his understanding. But this is one of those things, too, that's going to kind of be unfortunate, knowing that if the Mets land Mullins and Kwan goes to the Padres or the Dodgers for a deal that maybe was just absurd, that the Mets didn't want to give up that much of a haul for, David Stearns is going to get flack from the fans. It's going to happen, right? Mets fans want to see the Mets go out and land a solid outfielder. And if they go with what some believe as the worst option on the board, while you see other contending teams in the National League upgrade for the better there, that's where things get dicey. And that's where it's like, did we put all of our eggs too much in one basket in the case of Luis Robert? Is that the situation that we find ourselves in? If Robert actually finds himself not getting traded in the end and to kind of have the Mets shooting in their own foot, I doubt it. David Stearns does not strike me as someone who would be stubborn to be all locked in on one player and then would disregard the other options. That's why the Mets are weighing all of them right now. But the Mets are in a very unique situation if there's any weight to what Mark Feinsand had to say with the active trade negotiation with Luis Robert. And mind you, depending on what the Mets do or don't do on the outfield front, may also go directly in hand with what they can or won't do on the starter front. There's still a belief that the Mets can go out and land a starter today. It's not necessarily the same priority as an outfielder, which I think is fine to a degree. However, it definitely is in the best interest of this club to try to upgrade in all these areas. Let's go Mets from London. Love to see that. In Chicago in September, we've got tickets for Mets Cubs at Wrigley Field. Oh, that's going to be electric at 98. Hope you have a blast, my friend. God bless all the way from there over the pond, baby. Let's see. Kwan is a corner outfielder. He is. But the reason why it seems like the Dodgers and Padres are showing more interest in him is that Kwan might be having more of an ability to either be shifted to center or, at least depending on the certain defensive configurations for these teams, they might get creative with it. All right, let's get a show of hands. We got 1,500 people in the chat right now. We're breaking down the latest in Mets land. We wait to find out if the Mets are going to be landing an outfielder of significance at all from now up until 6 p.m. Eastern. I will be live with each and every one of you for another hour and 10 minutes approximately. I got to get out of here right around 2:40, 2:45-ish because then I got to get prepared for my Bleacher Report live show. But again, guys, once I do that later, you guys can check me on the BR app as well as their YouTube channel. We're going to be live on their YouTube channel with thousands of people as well as the thousands in the app. So you guys are going to be able to check it out from any which way, shape, or form. Mothman, miss me with the nonsense. This is not the time to be giving me fake breaking news comments in the chat. Let's not do that, okay? We're all in this together. We all just want to see the Mets add and us to be happy in the end, right? If you're a Mets fan, at least. Brian, great moderator. How we doing, baby? Happy to have you in the chat. Hit that like and subscribe on your way in, everybody. We have 1,500 people. Can we at least get 500 likes? Literally 1,000 of you guys. I'm not even asking for 1,000 of you guys to do anything. I'm asking for 500 out of the 1,500 of you to just hit that like button right now if you're enjoying the stream. That's all I ask from you. Hit that subscribe button as well, because again, we give away a Mets jersey after every new 1,000 subscriber milestone we hit. We hit 34,000. Thank you so much for that. We're doing a giveaway of a Mets jersey next week. Once we hit 35K, we'll do another jersey giveaway. So if you guys help us get a 35K as well sooner rather than later, then we're going to be doing double duty 2 jersey giveaway on the platform in the near future. So be on the lookout for that. Brandon Lowe, great question. I'm waiting to find out what's happening in the front of Brandon Lowe, especially everybody. We got to find out in the case of Brandon Lowe if the Mets are actually going to be more involved there than what they have been for the most part. Rayburn on MLB Network apparently said that the White Sox are asking for ton plus for Luis Robert. I don't see that being the case, but if that is the case, the White Sox can go F themselves. You really think, if that is at all true, which I'm sure it probably is, because the White Sox are shooting for the stars. Chicago, get your head straight out of your ass. You're not getting a top pitching prospect from us for an outfielder owed $20 million at the end of the year when Buddy's batting 20% below league average. Miss me with that bullshit. I understand you're excited that Luis Roberts finally swinging the bat well over the past month, but if you think for a single second that David Stearns is going to give up a top pitching prospect for Luis Robert, I got an effing bridge to sell you. Are you kidding me? Like, holy shit, I thought the stuff that I've smoked in the past was strong. Clearly not even close, because what the hell are we talking about here? So we'll see what happens on that front. That is by no, and I would like to make clear, if the Mets do not land Robert because Robert isn't traded, I better not hear one damn fan say that, oh, that's on David Stearns. It's not on Stearns. It's on the White Sox on something so effing strong right now that they're so absolutely disoriented that they actually could have fathomed the idea that, you know what, hey, let's go up to David Stearns. Let's ask for Jonathan, the best pitcher in all the Mets, not the Mets minor leagues. Jonathan has been the best pitcher in all minor league baseball this year. He has the most strikeouts in all minor league baseball this year. There's not a chance in effing hell that the Mets trade that man. The only way they trade him is if they trade him for something of a greater blockbuster, of a greater significance. That is not a Robert deal. It has to be so much more than a Robert deal to actually make that happen. Like, what the hell are we talking about here? Like, now that pisses me off. That genuinely pisses me off if that is at all true. And here's the thing. We don't know how true that is. That's a frustrating thing as well. You know how much stuff gets leaked out there that's more hearsay than anything else? You know how many times that reporters will run with shit when there is not nearly enough to validate why they should run with it? I'm not going to name names, but they know who they are out there. Very frustrating. So that is apparently what may or may not be going on in the case of Luis Robert right now. Again, I do not know. We will wait and see more on that front. Main Mets fan, Oklahoma City. Happy deadline day. Oh, Oklahoma City, happy to have you in here, my guy. Thank you so much for chiming in, baby. Appreciate that donation a lot, my friend. Hope you were doing fantastic on this fine. What day did... Oh, today's Thursday? Holy shit. Oh, my God, this week went fast. I don't even know what day it was today. Oh, my God. That's so stupid. So stupid! All right. Hold on. The Cubs are trying to make moves. We know that. They're in on Mackenzie Gore. But they don't want to part with their number 2 prospect, who's 47th ranked in MLB's Pipeline Top 100, and Moises Ballesteros. Is that how you pronounce his last name? I believe so. I think I got it right in the first time, but I don't want to botch it. Robert is not a rental. That is correct. However, he's being treated to a degree like a rental in the sense that it's not a guarantee that whatever team trades for him is going to pick up his club option. There's still a great role where say the Mets or whoever would trade for Robert could trade for Robert, say, no, buddy, I'm not picking up your $20 million option, but I will give you a contract at maybe a lower AAV. Maybe it'll be a multi-year deal. Like, that could happen. But the risk that you take by allowing Robert to have his contract decline for the club option after the season is that he can then go ahead and talk to any team in Major League Baseball. And if you're the Mets, you don't want to do that, obviously. You don't want to trade away any decent assets and then have Robert available in the free agent market a couple months from now. So I think if the Mets do land Robert, I do think that they're going to pay the $20 million. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility as much as some make it out to believe, because you got to realize that outfielders get paid a stupid amount of money a lot as is, and the Mets would probably be willing to eat that if it meant knowing for certain that they would have Robert on their team, especially if Robert gets dealt here and he performs at all in similarity to what he has the past month, at all in similarity to what he has 2 years ago, back when he was actually playing great baseball again. So it's really all going to be indicative as to what is happening in the front of Robert, what the Mets would give up, and how he would perform once he gets here. F the White Sox. This is the exact reason they play like shit. Exactly. They play like shit. They run their team like shit. It's just a whole lot of garbage coming out of Southside Chicago. Wow. Color me shocked. It's almost like Luis Robert has every reason imaginable to not give a rat's ass about the team that he's on. It's almost like they has every reason imaginable to go ahead and say, I am going to try to turn it up now because I need to get the hell out of here. It can be really, really hard to be inspired, in my opinion, if you find yourself in that position where even though you're making millions of dollars, and I understand he's spoiled, no doubt about it, but even with athletes making millions of dollars, they still have to go ahead and play a game every day. And that game gets a lot harder to play when you're on a horrendous ball club that's not going anywhere. And since Southside Chicago, that leaves a bit to be desired. And on top of it all, we know how bad they are with no immediate future of having success. So for a Robert who got his Major League career started by really getting that taste of a solid team with the White Sox there, as well as postseason play, he's gotten that taste of excitement. And since then, they've completely fallen off a cliff, and they are nowhere close to getting where they want to be anytime soon. So these are all obvious factors as to why a guy like Robert has been underwhelming the past 2 years outside of his injuries. Because again, it's hard to be inspired. It is most certainly hard to be inspired when you're in those shoes. I'm not saying it's to validate why Buddy has not played well. I'm just saying those are the reasons as to why. There's no denying that those are the reasons as to why. The Mets can absolutely trade for Mullins. Don't be surprised if they trade for Mullins, as a matter of fact. What we should be surprised by if the Mets finish today without landing an outfielder. That is what I'll be surprised by. I will be more surprised by the Mets not landing an outfielder today than I would them being acquiring a starter. You know, I think the Mets absolutely have potential to land both those things, but again, it's a wait and see. My guess is as good as yours until I'm relayed information that gives me a greater understanding as to what is happening with the club right now. Tan is untouchable, but if traded, who would you trade? Great question. If you traded Jonathan, there's only... If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't know. Right? Like, is there one player out there right now that would validate trading Jonathan? Joe Ryan. I think Joe Ryan is the only exception, right? I think Joe Ryan is the only exception in considering trading a guy like Tan. Otherwise, it makes no sense. There's like little to no one out there that you should consider such a thing for. Joe Ryan, though, multiple years of control, ace caliber starter, yeah, that fits the bill. You're getting that immediate help now instead of waiting potentially another year or so for Jonathan to really start to begin his career. Is Joe Ryan still in play or is the price too high? Price is through the roof. The Twins need to be like absolutely jaw dropped by an offer to have Joe Ryan get traded out of Minneapolis. But at the same time, they trade Duran already. They trade the rental and Bader. So the Twins might not be down when it comes to selling. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, going back in this one, everybody, we did see the other trade that you guys can see here as the Dodgers have finalized acquiring Mr. Brock Stewart also from the Minnesota Twins. Brock Stewart, who is going now to the Dodgers. Let's get into exactly how good of a season the veteran southpaw has been having. And I apologize, the veteran right-hander, rather. In 34 innings, of course he's good. Oh, my God. This is what I'm going to be completely honest. I did not know a lick about Brock Stewart until now. 34 innings, 11 K per 9, 2.9 walks per 9, 2.3 ERA, 2.2 expected ERA, 3 FIP, 3.7 expected FIP. The Dodgers need to stop getting away with this. They need to stop getting away with this. What did the Dodgers give up for Brock Stewart? Because the Dodgers, who have more bullpen depth and pitching than anyone else, the reason, however, as to why they have their problems is because they're always so injury plagued. They are always so injury plagued. Oh my goodness, Bobby G with the gifted. Bobby, thank you so much for that. Guys, can we get some love and hype in the chat for our guy Bobby G in the chat for gifting 5 memberships to Jersey X, Omar, Shreks, Boomerang, and Mothman? Congratulations on all becoming members. Bobby, thank you so much. That was beyond generous and kind of you. I really do appreciate that. For those that don't know what memberships are, we have a membership plan on the platform where I give you guys shout outs for our members first and foremost. We have awesome interactions with our members. It's great ways to support, obviously, to just help, honestly, just throw some dough a couple months to your guy Wardy and make sure that we're staying afloat doing what we're doing. That's the main reason why you guys do it, but also because you want to help to support the platform. And every month we do a members-only live show. Now, as you guys can see, this month we're not going to be doing a members-only live show. It's only because of the trade deadline. That's the only reason. I promise you, we will be doing a members-only live show, and honestly, it might be a great time to do that. Maybe on Thursday the 7th, barring changes, because if I'm planning to do the jersey giveaway that day too, we could maybe do a back-to-back thing where I do one live show for everybody and then I do one live show for our members. So I will get that figured out, but I promise you guys we will be back in our groove of doing our members-only live Q&A segment to our 100 to 200 plus members now for you guys to check out should you have interest. Bobby, thank you so much again for that. I really appreciate it. What do you do with Tan in a deal that got you Kwan and Ryan? Here's the thing though. Stephen Kwan is on the Guardians, and Joe Ryan is on the Twins. So would I do it for Kwan? Not a chance in hell. Would I do it for Joe Ryan? I think that's the only exception. Is Robert too much of a risk if he's the only offensive pickup? I get his speed and defensive value, but the lineup needs some help too. I agree, Gorman, but the only issue that we have is there aren't a lot of bats out there available. Like Stephen Kwan would be a great get if the Mets could get, but I'm not betting on that to happen, right? Outside of Stephen Kwan, you have Brandon Lowe, who the Mets like a lot, but are the Rays going to go there, right? I guess if there's anything good about the thing with the Mets right now, they've been quiet on the low front. And we have noticed this trend when the Mets kind of get a little quiet, it's the calm before the storm. So who knows? For all we know, the Mets may go out and make a splash offensively today that we're not at all talking about. That just is completely out of left field. We'll have to see it to believe it, but hopefully it's something exciting. Blue Raider 2005, thank you so much for becoming a member on the platform, my friend. Really do appreciate that. Our membership link is also down below in the description for anyone that is interested in becoming a member today. And again, thank you guys kindly for doing exactly that. You guys are amazing. Continue to hit that like and subscribe on as we're covering everything. All Mets Major League Baseball trade deadline coverage right now. But Brock Stewart's a great pickup for the Dodgers. Pisses me off that they do this every year. I know that they have an abundance of injuries because they have so many guys that just throw gas and their elbows and their shoulders get cooked in the process. But at the same time, I'm sick and tired of seeing the Dodgers go out and get good players every year. Wow. I know I sound like a fan that is just not getting the success the Dodgers are having. And it's true. I'm tired of it. Or do you right? Every time there's a big Mets move, there's silence, then boom. Exactly. So it's the calm before the storm. And I have a very sneaky suspicion that the Mets are going to be trading for one, if not multiple players, while I'm live on Bleacher Report's YouTube channel, as well as their, as well as what you guys will see there on their app. If that is the case, make sure you guys head over to the BR app and their YouTube channel. I posted it on my community tab today, so you guys can check it out there for my initial reaction. But don't worry, I will either do one of the two things. I will either A, screen record my initial reaction and analysis of breakdown and post that on the YouTube channel right away as an initial reaction in the trade, or B, I will wait until I go back live on the platform, which will be around 5 p.m. Eastern, and then we'll break it down then. Either way, though, folks, Underdog MLB, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. What is it? What is it? See, this is what I mean. This is what I just told you guys. Brandon, okay. President Baseball Operations, Neander. Rays not expected to trade Yanni Diaz and Brandon Lowe. So there you go. Brandon Lowe's off the board. Damn it. I knew not to get too hyped up about Brandon Lowe, but I knew they weren't going to get him. It just sucks. All right, guys, this is just what I put out on X. I'm going to relay it to each and every one of you. It is the following. Lowe was the only game-changing bat that was really available for the Mets to consider. Outside of Kwan, who I'll be surprised to see land here, Robert and Mullins have floors that don't make this Mets team better. When at their best, for sure, they'll be a positive. But there's risk here. So that's where we're at, everybody. It's Kwan or bust in the sense of wanting a player that doesn't have really much of a bad floor. We're at the point now, again, going back to what I was saying, I fully anticipate the Mets to land an outfielder, and I do think it's going to be one of Cedric Mullins or Luis Robert. I hope it's Luis Robert, but it's looking like it may very well be Cedric Mullins at this rate too, if Robert is not going to be traded either. So, yeah, a lot to figure out on this front, everybody. A lot to figure out right now. Brendan Donovan now? Oh, my God. Can you imagine? Oh, my God. If the Mets came out of left field and pivoted and got Brendan Donovan, that would be insane. I'm not expecting that, but that would be bananas. Look, I know Donovan's been having a good year, but let me see just how good of a season he's been having. He was rolling when the Mets were playing him earlier this season. I know that much. You're the Kwan I want. That's great wordplay. I love that. Barring a lot. Oh my God! Never mind about Brendan Donovan, dude. Oh my God. We keep saying shit, and then the seconds that we say shit, bam, it's shot down. I kid you not. Look at this. Someone just mentioned Brendan Donovan as a possibility, right? Maybe it could happen. Maybe. Then this is what we see. Then this is what we see, everybody. It's as follows. From Katie Wu on the beat for the Cards. Barring a last-minute change, Phil Maton is expected to be the final move for the Cardinals. Teams have inquired on Brendan Donovan, Alec Burleson, and Lars Nootbaar, but according to team source, St. Louis has not entertained that up to this point. Could things change? Obviously, in the coming hours for sure, and maybe things do change. But what this just tells you is that the Cardinals are not going to trade Donovan. So a second ago, we were saying, okay, outside of a Robert, if he's off the board, what's a bat that could really impact this team potentially for the better? All right, Brandon Lowe fits that category. Isn't happening. All right, Brendan Donovan. Maybe there's a smidge of a chance. Again, never really thought much more of Brendan Donovan than now, but now he appears off the board. I know Stearns is having a news conference at 6:30 today. That is correct. We will probably be live during that news conference, if I'm being honest. We might live react to the news conference as it's happening on the platform. We'll do something along those lines. So definitely be on the lookout for it, because we're going to be back live. Once we're done with this live stream, and right around an hour or just under, we'll be back live then around 5 p.m. sharp for our next live show on the platform. In between, we'll be live in the Bleacher Report out for you guys to check out. Acuna getting traded. He's only getting traded, though, at the right price. The Mets aren't just going to trade him. Brennan Doyle? The reason why Brennan Doyle isn't happening is because the Cardinals don't know their hand from their ass. I'm sorry, not the Cardinals. The Rockies. The Rockies have no clue what they're doing. You really think the Rockies are going to go ahead and trade a Brennan Doyle? Can we go all in on Ketel Marte and Gallen? So, Ketel Marte is not happening. Mets want nothing to do with that contract for an aging veteran. But Gallen or Merrill Kelly, very, very quiet on that front. Very quiet. And you have to wonder, when is something going to pick up there? The Diamondbacks have had a horrendous deadline at this point. They trade away Eugenio Suarez and a very underwhelming deal for the best bat in the market. They got swindled by the Mariners is what happened there. And on top of it, the Josh Naylor trade, not it at all. I really have been discouraged by the Diamondbacks' incompetence from their front office and actually evaluating the players properly, and I really feel like they could have maximized their return better if they did not trade with Seattle. I don't know what it is about wanting to help a Seattle Mariners team that's usually very stingy when it comes to negotiations, as is, to be the perfect match for them. Again, Seattle upgraded big time, but the Diamondbacks came away with a prospect return that I think is underwhelming for what they gave up. I really do. Now you ask yourself, if that's the case, what else? Heyman. It's going to be bad. Anytime you guys spam Heyman, the way you're spamming, it's not good. Mets are not close on Luis Robert at the moment. Not out of the question. White Sox hold Robert and consider $20 million 2026 option. I want to chuck my freaking mic. I want to. They're not close on Robert now. All right, the deadline's in 4 hours. Get close. You got time. You got time, David. You got time, White Sox, to lower your asking price from being as stupid as you are. But that's the latest, everybody. Per John Heyman, the Mets are not close on Luis Robert at moment. Not out of the question. White Sox told Robert and consider $20 million option. Center field remains a Mets priority. Remember, the Mets are prioritized out of the center fielders, out of the center field. So what are we doing? What are we doing here? And here's the thing. Ramon Laureano is a really good bat. He's having a great year. But the problem with Ramon Laureano is that Buddy's not like a clear center field fit for this team. That's the main concern with Laureano. The only untouchable in any Mets trade is worry. Oh, you're too kind, Dave. I appreciate that. Thank you. I will say, though, if I had to trade myself away for the Mets becoming a better team, I'd be willing to do that because I'm a rental. I'd only be with the rival club for like 2 months, and I'm back. Signing right back with the Mets on a long-term contract. Hey, Wardy, trade deadline day, which would you think would be better option for the Mets? Robert or Mullins? Robert, I think, would be better, but Mullins appears more likely now, given the circumstances of what's happening there with how high of a asking price the White Sox have at the moment. No, you can't hold Stearns responsible for the White Sox. 100%. Nothing is on Stearns. If Robert is not traded today, not a single fan should be mad at David. You can't do that to him. It's not his fault that the White Sox won't budge, because the same way that they won't budge is the same way that no other team is getting them to budge either, mind you. James Alba, thank you, James, for the $10 donation. I appreciate that, my man. I hope you're well. He says, Mets have gone under the radar with their moves, never linked to Rodgers, and San Fran was not selling. Least linked to Helsley of the closers. I agree in least linked, but however, they were linked to Helsley over a week ago that we covered on the platform, and it was reaffirmed 48 hours ago that the Mets and the Yankees were in the market for Helsley. So that one was pretty public until it actually happened. I agree in Tyler Rogers, though. That shit came out of nowhere, literally nowhere, and I was genuinely shocked to see Rogers actually land with the Mets. And furthermore, I'm ecstatic about Rogers because Buddy's probably going to make his Mets debut against his former team tomorrow. What yours truly in attendance for our Wardy Day. Dumb and probably obviously silly question. How likely for Wardy Day picture on the field will we run into any players? You know, that's a great question. And the picture, we're meeting up. So as I sent the mass email out to everybody, and I'll probably send more today to make sure that, you know, no stone goes unturned there. What's going to happen is you guys are going to meet me in a specific section. The only reason why I'm not telling you guys publicly where that section is right now is because I don't want us to potentially get swarmed by people not partaking in the event, acting like they are, and then they get the access that they didn't pay for, that kind of stuff. So as everybody who has purchased a ticket for Wardy Day sees in their email, I sent an email 2 days ago giving you guys all the details of where to meet me and when. You guys got to meet me for right around 5:45, 5:50-ish range, just before 6 or so. We're going to all meet up together in that designated area. Then we're going to get on the field. And when we're on the field, there is a decent chance that you guys may bump into a player. I'm not going to say it's impossible. There will be guys probably on the field for pregame work. BP may be going on, as well as obviously guys in the outfield doing their thing. Who knows? Maybe Luis Robert or Cedric Mullins is going to be stretching out there in the outfield, taking some nice little warm-up catches or getting some jogs in. You never know. So we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow, but that is a good question regarding our event. I have yet... Your guess is as good as mine, basically, is when it comes to that. Get Kwan if he can play center field, call it a day. Only problem, though, is the Padres and the Dodgers really, really want Kwan, and Kwan ain't going to come cheap. And are the Mets going to be willing to do whatever it takes to land Kwan? I'm not sure. Mets should get Jarren Duran. Now, this is the dark horse pick, right? Could the Mets come out of the woodwork, out of nowhere, and then you see, by God, the Mets land Duran when no one was expecting it? Maybe, but if you're the Red Sox, though, you want a Kane ransom for him, right? You want a Kane's ransom for the guy. So do the Mets have enough to offer for the Red Sox to help them while they're trying to win now to a degree as well? Or will they be content trading Jarren Duran away while focusing mainly on the future and the assets? That's a question that I don't have an answer to right now, but we'll hopefully find out soon enough. Rob, thank you so much for the $20. I'm going to get to all your comments in 1 second, everybody. Let me just blow my nose out real quick. All right, guys, Rob with the $20 states the following. If Stearns is going to move big-time prospects, I want Jose Ramirez. I love the way you think, but J-Ram ain't coming here. That would be so out of left field. That would have us all jaw dropped. We'll have to see to believe it. Ramirez solidifies your defense at third base, and you slot him behind a lot. No, he's amazing. J-Ram's one of the best third basemen in baseball. If you land J-Ram to pair back with Lindor, it's World Series or bust for the Mets. I mean, it already is, but it's furthermore World Series or bust if the Mets went out and did something crazy along those lines. Robert and Mullins have swing and miss bats. The Mets lineup is full of those. It is full of those, but you have to also bear in mind the potential, more so with Robert. Listen, Mullins can be a solid depth bat for you in your lineup. He's pretty much like a Jesse Winker with more power upside is the best way that I would put. And obviously a better defender, can actually command left or center without a problem. And maybe not hurt his oblique right away in the one effing play that he made in the outfield. I mean, Jesse Winker playing the outfield once was the demise of his entire season. Have you guys figured that out yet? Literally, the one play Buddy made in the first half of a doubleheader, which the Mets got their ass swept there in St. Louis, mind you. Horrendous, gloomy day at St. Louis. And first play he tries to make on the first ball he sees, grade 2 oblique strain. Comes back from injury after a couple months. First game back, hurts his back. He's not at all close to returning. That's why the Mets are trying to add some significance to the lineup a little bit, because there is no immediate timetable for Jesse Winker and Jose Siri. They have to operate as if they're not going to return this season right now. And if they do, great. But even then, just how much of a needle mover are they actually for you? You know, that's a good question to ask. I think we can all agree the answer is not all that much of one. How close are we to a Valdez-Spin reunion? Good question. Probably as close as the Mets are to landing Mike Trout. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. Going down here. Nimmo's not moving to center field. I agree. It really doesn't make all that much sense for the Mets to go out of their way to try to move Nimmo to center. I think it only makes sense if the Mets are going to move someone like Brandon Nimmo to center, and the scenario where you really, like Stephen Kwan, and they really want to make it work. Like, even then, though, Nimmo has only had few center field reps past couple seasons. Yeah, that's a risk there for sure if you go down those lines. Hot take, Mets get a back-end starter and no bat. I don't think that's as hot as you think. I think the Mets are definitely doing one of the two today. I just don't know if they're going to do both. That's the main thing, right? They have the assets to certainly acquire a starter. Sandy, Cabrera, Kelly, and Gallen. And Cease, because Cease very well could be traded today too. They're all on the board, right? They're all on the board. Hi, how are you? These are all the starters here. They're right there for the taking. What is it going to take for these guys? I know the asking price is stupid, which is why we haven't gone farther yet. But that's the main thing. What is the asking price for each and every one of these starters? It's painful to watch Nimmo run these days. I know. Yeah, he's starting to lose his legs a little bit. I love Brandon. But we all know that's true. Cabrera would be insane. Oh, you know what? Fuck it. Pardon my French. We're going Wardy sources here, because I did not tell you guys this earlier. I was relayed this morning that to keep an eye on Edward Cabrera, that there is potential that if the Mets do trade with Miami, that isn't like a certainty that it'll be Sandy, that it could be Edward. So if the Mets do a trade with Miami today, you'd imagine it's going to be one of those starters. But who, right? Sandy doesn't look like he impacts you nearly as much now because he's a change of scenery candidate coming off of Tommy John surgery, and Buddy's K-to-walk ratio is horrendous. Whereas Edward Cabrera not only has been having a very good year, but he has control, a lot of upside, like a lot of upside. Cabrera is a guy that you move some key assets for. Edward Cabrera is a guy that makes you stomach trading away like a Brandon Sproat or a Noel McLean, truthfully, because you're adding a controllable, high leverage type starter that could be top 3 in your rotation as soon as this season. So that is the exception if you're going to trade away out of your top pitching prospects. It's most certainly a guy like Cabrera. Not Sandy. I'll be pissed if the Mets trade away one of their top pitching prospects for Sandy Alcantara. Genuinely speaking, I'll be very mad in that initial reaction for the following reasons I just relayed. Big Frank says, get ready for David Stern's press conference tonight. We feel great about Tyrone Taylor in center field for us. I don't want to see that happen. You don't want to see that happen, Frank. So let's do ourselves a favor, not talking into existence. How about that? What about a package of Alec Thomas and Merrill Kelly? Ooh, that's interesting. Alec Thomas would obviously help out on the outfield front. But the problem, though, is I just don't know if there's even an appetite with the Diamondbacks right now. Like, they're so hard to gauge and navigate right now, Arizona. They've been the tough one. If you guys find out anything new here on X, please make sure to relay. I do greatly appreciate that. Just double checking right now to see what is going on now. Literally everybody's doing a trade deadline show today. I love it. Every fellow content creator friend of mine, for the most part, I know, was doing a deadline show. You got Jolly tweeting this shit. David Stern's on deadline day. It's a little bear sleeping. Like, come on. I find it funny because I do think that David's going to come out from the woodwork and go like, bang, we just did something crazy. Johnny Heyman says that Mackenzie Gore is out there with the Nats accepting offers and making counter offers. I do not see a role where Gore comes to the Mets, though. Hold on, everybody. I'm just checking the intel. Not you guys going ahead and running with with the things I say right away. At October Vientos, WardyNYM says his sources relay to him to keep an eye on the potential Edward Cabrera trade. Stop acting like I'm trying to break news out here. Trust me, if I was trying to break news, I would have told you all last night that Mason Miller was head of the Padres, like a lock. Because I knew it last night. We knew it before Dennis Lin even came out with his reporting for The Athletic. There's so many things I know about ahead of time. It just sucks I can't relay them in its full entirety until it actually happens. Because again, it's not my place to say. You burn bridges and you lose your sources when you go ahead and try to run with shit when they're telling you, hey, I'll give you this information, but keep it the vest, or I'll let you say this, but realize that you can't say more than that because you're gonna burn the bridge for all of us, which is how this game works. So I understand that. Gregory, thank you so much for the $2 donation. I appreciate that. We await more on the Mets front, everybody. What we know is that Harrison Bader's a Philadelphia Philly. The Rays are likely not trading Brandon Lowe, so you can take him off the Mets board. Luis Robert trade talks appear to have died down for everyone across the board, and a trade is deemed as unlikely now, per Mark Feinsand of MLB. The Mets are still in on Robert, but they're not close on Robert right now, the way that maybe they were yesterday. Then we see they're still obviously in the mix for Cedric Mullins, among others. Rest assured, the Mets are prioritizing a center fielder, and they want one bad. Let's see. Well, the Mets... Mullins, what about Balls? I think we could definitely get Mullins. I definitely think it's a possibility. You could almost argue that maybe Mullins is a probability now if Robert is really going to be, if the White Sox are going to be that stubborn what Robert is worth. I think we can all agree, though, it's too quiet in Mets land right now. It's too quiet. It's way too quiet. The Astros are also in on Stephen Kwan as a potential solution to their inconsistency in left field. So it appears that most teams that are targeting Stephen Kwan right now like Stephen Kwan, especially because they can utilize him more in the corner outfield. That's the main reason as to why I don't see the Mets going heavy in on Kwan, outside of obviously the high asking price for him too. But who knows? Again, a lot of time from now up until then. If we only add Mullins, it would be such a disappointing deadline day. If Mullins is the only move the Mets make today, I agree it would be disappointing in retrospect because of the other teams making the moves that they're making. But at the same time, though, Nathan, and this cannot be understated enough, it really goes in hand with what other contending National League teams do, right? If the Phillies go out and do something crazy, then we're all going to be pissed. If the Padres and Dodgers go out and do more than what they have, when mind you, the Padres just got Mason effing Miller. Mason Miller. Buddy throws a 104 like it's nothing. And J.P. Sears, who's a solid lefty for the rotation. And then the Dodgers are in on Stephen Kwan. They just got a very good reliever in Brock Stewart there from the Twins. In order for the Mets to make sure that this deadline does not fall flat for them, they have to make sure that they do enough. They got to do enough. They got to do enough to make sure that the other top contending teams are not completely besting them and blowing them out of the water trade-wise for players of similar area of need, right? If it's for players like, again, Mason Miller would have been awesome, but the Mets didn't have that kind of prospect the way that the Padres just gave up a top 3 prospect in baseball, who very well could be number 1 next year. So that's the context behind how Mason Miller got traded, even with him having 4 or 5 years of control. Emerson, yo, what's up, Worry? I'll say it right now, Kwan would be our Tommy Edman. My fear is that Kwan might become the latest Tommy Edman for the Dodgers because he's going to be paired with Tommy Edman. That's my fear right now. I'm concerned that Steven Kwan is going to go to the Dodgers or the Padres. I'd much rather he go to the Astros if that means he's going to stay in the American League. That's not a bad thing. But again, we got to see that to believe it first. Merrill's still available. Can we make it happen? I think you think they can make it happen, but again, that is yet to be seen. Good question. Very good question. And guys, we're going to be live here for another half hour still, so if you guys haven't already, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for your dog. I greatly appreciate that as we're breaking down all the latest Mets line here, as the Mets have more moves to make. Now, the great question is, what exactly are those moves going to be? It really feels likely that the Mets are going to go ahead and make one of these trades happen while I'm live for Bleacher Report. If so, that's okay. Not the end of the world. What we'll do, if that is in fact the case, is again, I will either clip it as I'm actively doing my live show for Bleacher Report, and then I'll post it on my YouTube channel, or B, and what's probably more likely, barring changes, is that I will then be breaking that down as soon as I'm done with my BR show as like a big recap of the Mets acquiring the player that they did, as well as obviously what is next for him with the deadline at all. Will the Mets get Cease? That'd be crazy. I think Cease gets traded to the American League today. Buster only, Robert to Padres. I hope you're wrong. I'm calling your bluff, Jack, right now. I'm calling it big time. And this is why I call your bluff, because you're talking nonsense. That's why. Let's see here. Kwan is such a Dodger. Wish NYM would grab him, but he profiles exactly like a Dodger, and they'll get him for pennies. Oh, yeah, they won't get him for pennies, but it'll definitely be a trade that we're probably going to be pissed off about if that happens. I agree. Yeah, supposedly this is true. Supposedly the White Sox asked Jonathan and Luis Robert talks, which, as David Stearns rightfully should, says, kick rocks, buddy. Sayonara, see ya. How about you come back down to earth a little bit and we can have proper negotiations? Otherwise, you're just smoking that good. You know what I mean? Okay. Andy Martino, just reaffirm what we all know. Fun fact, Andy has me blocked on my main X account, but not my like big X account with over 70,000 followers. So I kind of mix and match. And now you can see everything even if you're blocked by someone. So we genuinely like see how funny that is? Mind you, I'm a New York Post, WFAN, SNY contributor. Blocked by Andy Martino. The same man who does nothing but absolutely act like a hack and yet wonders why people have the reactions that they do about him. Andy, I know you have sources, but you could just be, I don't know, a normal guy, you know, a guy that people would actually enjoy to be around a little bit more. You do not do yourself any favors on X, I promise you. Mets Sox talk on Robert had cooled by last night. Obviously still time to reignite, but far as I can tell, that hasn't happened to this point. Mullins is maybe. This has to reignite. This has to. Are the White Sox really going to stand pat and hold him? You know what I mean? Are they really going to? Because here's the thing. I think he blocked me just for talking smack. Probably my first year or so of YouTube, I was going off on everybody. Like, genuinely, like going off on everybody. I was probably too out of pocket. Like, I don't blame him. I'm sure I said some things that probably were not the nicest things, and I'm more than content to admit that. I've grown a lot since I started the content. Obviously, you guys have seen how much we've changed since I started the channel as well, in the sense of how much we've grown up and how now I'm actually, you know, a recurring contributor in all these areas. I work with Bleacher Report as, you know, my separate, you know, kind of not full-time, but like full-time in the sense that I have a set schedule with them and stuff like that. So just, and oh shit, I just realized something. I'm supposed to be starting. Hold on. I actually just realized something. Oh shit. I got to text my guy real quick. Hold on. Sorry, everybody. I can't announce it yet because we're waiting for it to be official, but I'm doing new work with Bleacher Report. You guys know that I'm a BR host, and I host a lot of live segments for them, either if it's every week or, bi-weekly, depending on their schedules, as well as key events like the trade deadline, for example, that we're doing today. But I'm also going to be doing a lot more stuff, more niche, specifically with the Mets. So I'm waiting to get word on that because we had a really good conversation not long ago in regards to this, and it was all supposed to start tomorrow. I just don't know if it's going to start tomorrow or not because I just realized I haven't gotten the follow-up since then. So I'm just double-checking with them. But yeah, you guys be on the lookout. Wardy has more content coming, not only here on the platform, but we have a lot more that's going to be starting for Bleacher Report, like on a daily basis as well, which I'm very excited about. So I will relay that more your way once we get that more materialized. But we have another thing that's so close. We're literally at the 1 yard line from starting something very big separate from Bleacher Report that I have yet to share with each and every one of you that I really want to share with you guys, but I can't yet because it's not official because we're waiting on the one final infinity stone of what we're doing with this. I can't expand on it more than that, but we have things cooking. And I've been saying this all year, but we've had things cooking for a while. So I'm looking forward to getting this stuff all up for you guys once it's all official, set in stone. Cage match 40 versus Martino. Now we don't need to do that. It's okay. I'll fight one of Andy's puppets that he has for the Beatles. That way it's a fair fight. Wardy, leave the room to get water. Always brings a play. I actually have to really use the restroom real quick. Let's go ahead and do that, everybody. Let's go ahead and see if that Wardy trick will work. I'm going to go ahead, use the bathroom. I'll be back in approximately 2 to 3 minutes. You guys can start the timer now. Be back in 1 second, everybody. All right, folks, and we're back. Jeff tweet. You guys cracked me up with the fake news in the chat. That's good. That's actually really good. I respect the hell out of that. Vinny, thank you so much for the $10 holla, Vinny. Well, we got Vinny Bronco. Oh, my goodness. Perfect name. Oh, my God, Vin, you sound like you're straight out of a... Let me think of the biggest stereotype I could think. As someone who is obsessed with, you know, Italian mafia-related shows and movies. And this all goes back to the origin of a cousin of mine who played the young Henry Hill in Goodfellas. I've been locked in ever since I knew that at a young age. So, Vinny, I'm going to go with you're definitely one of these guys that I could be seeing outside there at the deli with Tony and Polly Walnuts and everyone else there. Maybe getting a little tan going. Love the name. Love the donation. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Mets in on Joe DiMaggio. Breaking news here from Dave in the chat right now. That's hilarious. Mets signed Tyler Wardy. I don't know who Tyler Wardy is, but if they signed Tyler Ward, that'd be pretty sick. For those that don't know, my last name is actually Ward. Some people think it's Wardy just because of the fact that like I go by Wardy. But if I'm being completely honest with you, the Wardy origin is going back to when I used to be a big gamer on Xbox, and I would be grinding my sports games. I loved NHL, EA growing up, as well as Madden, MLB The Show a bit. And every time that I do like a creative player and stuff like that, I would always label myself like Wardy because I liked how it rolled off the tongue more, and it was very trendy back then, especially to kind of put a Y at the end of your name and just kind of, you know, go with punches. And then when I started YouTube content, I'm like, F it, let's just go with Wardy, because I used to be Wardy NHL when I was doing hockey content only, and then I shifted from that to changing that into Rangers Review, which was a Rangers podcast for the New York Rangers when I started WardyNYM, and now here we are. The little guy's great, Vinny. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Hope all's well on your end. This chat is so lame. What's so lame about it? The only one that sounds lame right now to you. What's going on? What's going on? I appreciate that. Thank you. Why are we, what's so bad about the chat? I think the chat's actually been perfectly fine today, as a matter of fact. They're perfectly fine. Mets should bring Ruffin and Vogelback back. Say less, baby. We need bats. We need some power. We need to get something going. See, you don't even know what you're talking about, Crook, in the chat. You're just yapping. Bro's just yapping out here. It's guys just be saying shit. Like, seriously. What are we doing? What are we doing? That's what I gotta say about that. God. Mets acquire Tyler Ward for center fielder and player to be named later. There you go. The Mets won't do anything more. That I disagree with, Peter. That I feel very confident saying that is incorrect. The Mets will do more. I just don't know to what degree right now. We're all in the same waiting game right now. And I have 20 minutes left that I can be live here before I got to go to Bleacher Report. So, clock's a ticking. The Tigers just got Cody from the Rangers. I'm sorry, I can't even say his fucking name. How do you even say this? Tigers acquire Cody Hur. How do you say that? How do you say that? Break it down to me like I'm 5. Someone in the chat, go ahead and do it. I'm waiting for you. Tell me. Huyer. Okay. Cody Huyer. That's still tripping me out. I'm glad he's not a Met, just for the fact that I can't pronunciate his name at all. Or enunciate, rather. All right, let's look up Cody. Is Cody good? Came from the Rangers. Don't really know. Is it Hoyer? Or is it... You guys are going to make me say the bad word. I don't want to say it. We'll go with... There's no way. We're getting like people saying it like 4 different ways. I don't know. I don't care. It's fine. All right. And mind you, he spells his name Cody, K-O-D-I. I've never seen someone do that. I kind of mess with him. Not going to lie. I like that. All right. Cody H is what we'll go with. Cody made his not MLB debut, but he had 1.1 inning with the Rangers this year. Oh, what a needle mover. All right. Why am I even entertaining a guy that has a career... I mean, it's 3.6 ERA. Shit, that ain't bad. However, he's done nothing this year. Wasn't in the bigs for 4 years, and now he's back. So my guess is Buddy, he probably had a season-ending injury, then traveled around in indie ball for a while, and then signed with the Rangers this year, and now obviously he made his debut. Or he's just been in the minor leagues the entire time. I'm not entirely sure. We got my guy RP Remington in the chat. How we doing, baby? Hope you were fantastic. I still got to meet up with you, bro. I still got to get some kid clothes, if you know, you know. For those that don't know, Remington in the chat, who's an awesome member of mine, we actually met for the first time at a Mets game when the Mets got steamrolled by the Phillies, like 10-1. Blade Tidwell started that game. Rest in peace, Blade. Not rest in peace, but wishing him the best now that he's no longer New York Met. Now that he's in San Fran. Tidwell, he wasn't the problem that game when the Mets couldn't hit a lick, and the guy actually doesn't reside far from me, and he's been beyond very nice, and he's offered my way, you know, to give me some kitty clothes, because I'll gladly take kids' clothes for my little one, Shay. The more the merrier, because he has kids himself. And we've been trying the past, like, year to coordinate to try to get these damn clothes, as it hasn't happened. I met him at a game before. He lives probably no farther than I'd imagine 15 minutes away from me. Tops 20, if I had to guess. And we still have not linked up yet. We got to make that happen, Remington. We have to do it. We got to figure it out sometime in this month. I'm determined if you're determined. Let's go ahead and try to do that, okay? Mets trade Darren Ruff, Luis Yorme, and Daniel Vogelback. Oh, my God. It's the fact that we're not far removed from that being, like, key pieces on this Mets team. We're really not far removed at all. Breaking news. Front office of the White Sox has the lowest IQ. Color me shocked. Mets trade for center fielder Brian Cashman. I'm not in Jersey, no. I'm in Pennsylvania. Not far from Jersey, though. I could get to Jersey right now in 35, 40 minutes. Not far at all, especially if you're just getting past Easton, which is about half hour from me. Not that far. Let's see. It's probably going to be the Orioles center fielder. I know it really might be Cedric Mullins at this rate, given the fact that we see how much they're holding the line in the White Sox on a trade for Robert. But man, I need Robert to happen, dude. I need a buzzer beater Robert trade to happen in the final hour. That's what I need. I need that injected into my veins at like 5:45 today. Breaking news: Mets land Luis Robert for a bag of baseballs. I'll lose my mind. I'll literally lose my mind. I have went to Dorney Park plenty when I was a kid. Yeah, I don't go there at all now. If I'm being honest, it's ratchet now. It just ain't what it used to. One, I'm a dad. I don't really get entertainment by going to. I will as I get older and when my kiddos want to go. But for me personally, I haven't went to Dorney since. It's probably been at least 5, 6, 7 years. And even when I did go, it was more so for like friends, family, nephews, nieces than it was me going. Because I'm not a huge amusement park guy. For those that don't know, I'm short. I'm below 6 foot for sure. And I hate roller coasters that go straight up and straight down. I'm cool roller coasters in which, you know, they're kind of windy and how they go down and stuff. But straight up and straight down, like what they have like Fahrenheit, if you guys know at like Hershey, miss me with that bullshit. Never doing that, right? So I'm very limited when I go to amusement parks and the rides I actually want to go on. I don't get entertained by getting a full-blown panic attack by being on a ride. I don't get the thrill that others do, depending on what it is. You can call me a wuss for that all you want. That's completely fine. People have said that to me my entire life. It doesn't change the fact that I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. Like Dorney, their biggest roller coaster, I'm trying to think what it is. Oh my God, what's it called? It's their big red roller coaster. It's their main one. Not a chance in hell. People have offered me money to go on it when I was younger, back in like middle school and stuff. Nah, miss me with that nonsense. It's like 3 minutes before midnight in India. I can see some Mets trades. Go sleep, please. Yeah, unfortunately for you, my friend, you got to stay up a little bit, regardless of where you're. If you're in India right now, if it's almost midnight, buddy, you got to be up till at least 3, 4 a.m. Because I was up until 3 a.m. last night, just to make sure the Mets didn't miss anything else. I have been to Knoebels as well. Knoebels is fun. It's a little bit of a hike for me, not that far. But yeah, no, Knoebels is fun. I've went there every once. Steel Force. Thank you. I can't believe I actually forgot the name of that. Literally, it's like my backyard, yet I forgot. Oh, well. That's okay. Is Cedric Mullins still on the board? Yes, he is, Paul. Absolutely. Cedric Mullins is not only still on the board, but he might be the most logical option for the Mets right now, outfield-wise, if Robert and the White Sox don't budge on price. Ride Pantheon at Busch Gardens. I've been to Busch Gardens before. Row 95 degrees spike. I don't know, Shreks. You sound like an expert. That's kind of scaring me. I have been to Busch Gardens once, and I was sadly sick as a dog with a sinus infection. So, like, I wasn't contagious or anything. I was on my meds and everything, but, like, it was just terrible. Like, I was all plugged up. It was just not an ideal weekend. I've been on Talon. Talon I like. Talon I F with. If you guys know Talon at Dorney Park, those are the kind of rides I like. Same thing if I'm at Six Flags in New Jersey. You guys know the Batman one where it kind of glides. It's the Batman one, I think. Yeah, I think it's the Batman one. That one I F with. But then there's like a Green Lantern one that you stand upward and they strap you in. Hell no. Not a chance in hell I'm doing that shit. Literally not a chance. Why do I want Robert so bad? Numbers are not great because it goes well beyond the numbers, my friend. Robert, 2 years ago, was an AL MVP candidate. Tremendous player. Still has all the 5-tool talents there. He's a clear change scenery candidate. He just needs to stay healthy. He's hit really well the past month and a half to make you think that, okay, he could hopefully stay hot. He's been in a depleted, horrendous White Sox lineup where he's been attacked. You know, he has been the guy that's been in that lineup for a horrendous lineup. He would not be at all the guy for this Mets team. Literally, he would be so far from being the guy for the Mets team. And that lack of pressure while being part of a contender and a deeper team that he's ever been a part of, all those things go in hand as to why we firmly believe that he would bode well there with the Mets or with a contending team versus what he's been doing the past year and a half, 2 years, which has been mediocre baseball for the sorry White Sox. Am I going to Steel Sox of Bethlehem tonight? There's multiple concerts, actually, as a matter of fact. So for those that don't know how Music Fest works, they do multiple concerts usually. I'm not going tonight, mainly because I'm too busy with the deadline stuff today. I was actually pondering it for a while. Not going to Music Fest tonight. Won't be there tomorrow, but I might be there one day next week. So that's the plan. I'm actually going to probably coordinate with family, maybe some buddies as well. And yeah, if you guys are in the Bethlehem area, Pennsylvania, Music Fest is going on for the next week or so. It's a really, really big thing that happens in the East Coast where it's like a week-long event or so at minimum of, you know, various concerts and all this entertainment going on from people from like Nelly to Megan Maroney to Avenged Sevenfold, like you name it, just the most random artists are there, and they have all these blocks and streets blocked off for you to day drink if you want, a night drink as well, because they have their breweries. They have Bethlehem Brewworks over there, and a bunch of other vendors for you to grab drinks and just keep the night going, obviously. A bunch of food trucks and vendors and stuff like that. It's fun. It's a really good time, and that's kind of like the biggest thing that we have in the general like Lehigh Valley area, Bethlehem specifically. Like that's the go-to that people do. Music Fest is people go like way like far and away for, like even Giraffe Neck Mark. I'm close to Mark. I've talked to Mark, and he's actually been to Music Fest himself before too. And mind you, Mark lives in New York. You know, he's right there in Queens. So it's one of those things where definitely it's been appealing to people outside of just PA. I've noticed. I like Morgan Wallen. I do like Morgan Wallen music wise, and I did not like country music until like 2.5, 3 years ago. So I'm a newer, more Morgan Wallen appreciator. Iron Pigs. Yep, I'm right by there, not far from the Iron Pigs Stadium at all. Christian with the $5 haul. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. If we don't trade for a starting pitcher, do you think we will call up Sproat or McClain as early as this week? Yeah, I do. If I'm being honest, like it's got to happen sooner than later, right? You cannot continue to churn out what you've been doing. Not do that. One more I have for you. You've been a Cane and Pressure or Value Forge. I've been to both. Yep, for sure. Yep. Cane and Pressure more than Value Forge, but I've been to both. I would just throw me in center field at this rate. Let's just get the job done, guys. Let's do it together. Is Ryan Clifford on the block? Shouldn't be. The only way Ryan Clifford is on the block is if it's for a trade worthwhile of it. I don't want to trade Mr. Clifford for the sake of just trading him. He's too good. Teacup riding ass fans. I don't like the teacups either. I don't want. Why do I want to go in a teacup and just get dizzy and maybe feel like I'm gonna throw up after? What's the entertainment? Like once you guys tell me why we do those things is when I'll be like, oh okay, I should go ahead and do it. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. Was I tall enough to get on those rides? Yes, I was. When I was younger, though, it was one of those things where, like, when I want to get on certain rides, of course, you're like triple, if not quadruple socking it. You're wearing, like, the shoes with the thickest heel imaginable to give you as much of an inch as possible. When I was younger, I was definitely doing that shit just like any other kid. Absolutely. Probably wasn't smart in hindsight, but we're here. That's all that matters. It's Oh, you're right. There you go. Yep, not far from you at all. Exactly. See, you, Mr. Rivera, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly. Love that. Love to hear my Mets fans that are not far from the area. I've only bumped in as a matter. I've only bumped into 2 people in my general area that have actually recognized me as Wardy. No one else has. No one else has. And the last time it happened was like a month and a half ago. I bumped into a guy in a Wegmans. Very nice guy who I actually need to follow up with to see if he wants to chop it up because we had a nice conversation then. The other guy is actually one of my local bagel places because they I go in one day, I come out, and I get a DM, and they're like, "Were you just in my bagel store?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "Who are you?" You know, so they were all Mets fans, and I had no clue, and they've been watching my content. So I'm like, "Oh, that's sick. Did not know that at all." And Joel, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. Little worry had them elevated. Oh, 100%. 100%. No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, Rivera. Yep, that's the one. Yep, so maybe I'll bump into you next time. You know, that's what the goal will be from there, for sure. We'll make Wegmans the designated Wardy spot to hang out, guys. Let's get it cooking. Not happening this week, but maybe at some point they likely give Blackburn another shot before Sprout. The Mets have been actively shopping Blackburn, too, to see if there's any suitors on that front. Obviously, nothing's happened at this point, but it's something to bear in mind because they have been trying to trade him. I know that much. Catasauqua Road by Airport Road. Yeah, that's not far at all, Matt. Yeah, I know where all these... Holy shit. Yeah, I know where all you guys are. That's cool. Paul, that would be correct, Paul. Look at you guys. You guys are smart. Let's see. What are the odds we land Edward? I don't have odds for you. I was just relayed today that the Mets are could certainly land Cabrera if the price is there right. Why aren't the Braves selling anyone? Because the Braves still can't get over the fact that they're not going anywhere this year. AA is still trying to figure it out. Oh, you're by Cabela's? Oh, nice. You're not far from me at all. Cabela's is like what? Cabela's is about a half hour from me. Not far at all. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I go to Cabela's every once in a while. Not you know, as you guys can see, I'm obviously not the most blue collar, I'm going to go hunt and fish kind of guy, clearly. But I do go there from time to time. Not that I'm opposed to those things either. I just don't have the time. I make content for a living. I yap about my favorite teams for a living. So that consumes most of my day as is. But folks, we have a problem. The problem that we have is that I got to go. I'm sorry, guys. I love you all so much. You know I love you. But the great news, the really good news, is that we will be back. That I promise you. And that's the good news. So do not worry, everybody. Do not get scared. I will be here approximately right around. You go to school in Bethlehem? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you're not far from me at all, Richie. That's awesome. I hope everything's been going well school-wise for you. You know, Music Fest is about to start when the weather is calling the flood. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, the weather's been shit today. It's been on and off rain. I don't want to be at music. The worst part about Music Fest, for my OGs and PA Mets fans that know, the worst part, Bleacher Report YouTube. That is correct. I'm going to be live on Bleacher Report's main YouTube channel with their like 4 or 5 million subscribers in literally 20 minutes, as well as their app. So if you guys want to see your guy Wardy, head over to Bleacher Report's live MLB trade deadline coverage show beginning 3 p.m. Eastern on their YouTube channel, as well as in their app. So you guys, whether you want it on your fingertips in the app, or you guys prefer the landscape in YouTube, I will be there for 2 hours tops. So be on the lookout for me there. If anything happens with the Mets during that time, which I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to, I will then again, as I said, screen record my reaction, and I will post it on the platform not long after, and then we'll go live later on. Or it'll be the other way around, where I will then be going live later, like I was going to regardless, and break down more of those news. Final thing I have to say on Music Fest, it sucks so much when you go to Music Fest. You're doing a whole day drinking, night drinking, enjoying yourself, doing whatever you're doing it responsibly, of course. And it's pouring on and off, and it's hot and humid out. It's the worst. Because then when the sun comes back out, you're even hotter than you were before. I hate it. All right, little Wardy tangents all day long because we got nothing else cooking. You can say the word. Can I say the word pickle on stream? Just for you, Scoodle. Just for you. You crazy schmuck. All right, guys, that'll do it. Thank you guys all so much again for watching. Head over. Actually, I will put the link in the chat right now. Let me do that for you guys. This will make things 10 times easier. Let me go ahead and put the link so you guys can go ahead and check it out for yourself. Hold on, everybody. I'm putting the link in the chat right now. Oh, of course you head over to Brewer Extreme Music Fest. That's mandatory. Hurry, Wardy, they're leaving fast. I know. I put it there. All right, guys. To the 1,000 you guys that are still here that hunt around, head over there with that link that I just put in the chat for you guys. Check it out, and then we're golden, okay? I'll actually wait. 2:40, I'm going to wait another 3 minutes. I want to make sure as many people can click that link as they can. Right now, we got Xavier, who we got? Xavier Shrugs there. I think he's hosting the segment right now, former MLB player. And the best news, guys, is when I'm done in BR today, who's going to come in after me? Trevor May, Will Salmon, I think Hunter Pence, and someone else. Really, really cool, I'm not going to lie, to go from doing a live segment and then passing the baton to my dogs. Trevor, love him. Will, love me some Will Salmon. Will's the best. Good friend of mine. So that's going to be fun. So check me out over there, guys. Again, link is in the live chat for you guys. Head over to the official YouTube channel of Bleacher Report, as well as their app. If you guys have interest in consuming the content there, I will be live again from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. Just 2 hours, but things are going to be very hectic during that time. So lock in. We got a lot of breakdown in Mets land. Got a lot of breakdown in Major League Baseball, so be on lookout for it, everybody. Mets get Lowe and Robert. We'll be lucky if we get one. And it ain't going to be low at this rate. Ain't going to be low. But all right, guys, once more, I'm out of here. Click that link again. Should you guys have interest, it is right there in the live chat. Click it. Head over to Bleacher Report. You guys will chop it up with me. We're going to continue our discussion. Don't worry. The only difference is that I'll be able to co-host. That will be fantastic. She's going to do a great job with me. And then we're going to be going over MLB-wide topics, not just, obviously, the Mets. So that's the only difference. But we're going to have a lot of fun with it. Be on the lookout, guys. I know. I lounge. It's true. And the reason for that is just because I've built such a great niche community that knows to come in when I'm live. Whereas when you're Bleacher Report and you have 4 or 5 million subscribers, but you post various sports content every single day, you don't hit the algorithm the same because you don't have that built-in niche following to the same degree as we do here. Like, you guys are diehards. You guys are amazing. And this took years and years of building consistently the same exact thing. That's why we do so well with these live shows versus maybe larger platforms don't even sniff this or don't get as close to, because again, they don't have the track record of the consistency among other stuff. So guys, that's what I got you for. I'm out of here. I'll see you all live in Bleacher Report and in their app starting 3 p.m. Eastern on their YouTube channel and their app, and I'll be back here right around 5 p.m. Eastern sharp. See you guys then. Let's go.